This is NBC5 News at 10 on COZI.
Local law enforcement officials investigating a homicide that was caught on video. Thank you for choosing NBC5 News at 10 on COZI for one last time. I'm Lauren Preto filling in for Maximus Osborne. The Medford Police Department is investigating a homicide that happened in the parking lot of Wilson Elementary School. That's our top story tonight at 10. According to MPD, officers were dispatched to the parking lot of the school around 6:30 a.m. Upon arrival, officers found a deceased male. MPD says they obtained surveillance video that shows the violent act occur several hours before their arrival. Authorities are still collecting information to identify suspects and associated vehicles. The Medford School District says, thankfully, Wilson Elementary students have already been released for summer break. No additional details are available at this time as the investigation is still ongoing. A wrongful death lawsuit against Klamath County Fire District 1 is finally being heard by a jury nearly 5 years after a local woman's death. The family claims EMTs didn't check Teresa Vaughn's vital signs and then refused to take her to the hospital. It all happened the day after Christmas in 2020. Klamath County woman Teresa Vaughn was COVID positive and struggling. Her partner Vivian Kimball called 911 thinking paramedics would help take Vaughn to the hospital. According to Kirk Mylander, the attorney for the Vaughn family, EMTs Cody Angler and Alex Dustin didn't check Teresa's vital signs, heart rate, blood pressure, or listen to her lungs. He says they didn't even bring their medical instruments into the apartment. Kimball says Angler asked her to drive Vaughn to the hospital, so she did. But Mylander says Vaughn did not give up her right to be driven in the ambulance. Unfortunately, Vaughn died after having a cardiac event in Kimball's car on the way to the hospital. Now the family's civil lawsuit against Klamath County Fire District 1 and these two EMTs is finally going to trial in Medford's federal courthouse.
Emergency care physicians, they were able to revive her multiple times. They would get her heart started, but then her brain, because it was not functioning, couldn't keep the heartbeat going.
Klamath County Fire District 1 has never returned our calls for comment on this story. The jury trial is expected to last into the end of this week. The Josephine County Budget Committee will meet tomorrow to vote on department budgets, including the Sheriff's Office, which has requested additional funds. The Budget Committee held a meeting Wednesday to go over the county budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Sheriff Dave Daniel requested the committee consider approving an additional $774,000 for the Sheriff's Office on top of what the budget officer recommended. In total, the Sheriff's Office is asking for almost $2.8 million out of the general fund, which Sheriff Daniel noted is significantly less than funding in previous years. He says this additional funding will allow the Sheriff's Office to add a school resource officer, 2 major crimes detectives, and 2 patrol officers, which would allow for 24/7 patrols.
You add patrol, you add detectives. It's a force multiplier, it compounds. It's going to allow our deputies to do a better job by spending more time with those individual calls for service. You're going to get your Josephine County Sheriff's Office back with this budget, with this proposal.
Committee member Chad Hansen says the committee was supposed to have more time to weigh these decisions, but they were postponed. He says because of that and because of the negative public perception of the commissioners, they should take as much time as possible to consider the budget. The committee voted to continue the meeting to tomorrow at 1 p.m. to make decisions, which is the deadline for the budget approval. A dangerous and busy Medford intersection is getting a major renovation. The project at the Big X, the intersection where highways 62, 99, and 238 meet, will replace the existing pavement with new asphalt and improve the bike and pedestrian connections. According to ODOT, the area was last paved in 2000 and experiences 38,000 vehicles per day. To minimize impact on the public, workers will not be seen during the day as the work itself is being done overnight. The project is slated to cost $18.2 million. Rural Metro Fire responded to an RV fully engulfed in flames in rural Josephine County this morning. ODF and Rural Metro crews were called out to investigate a dark column seen in the woods of the Dutchy Way area. Firefighters found an RV on fire, with the fire spreading about a half acre into the surrounding vegetation. Due to how remote the location of the fire was, only small fire apparatus could get close, and crews had to be shuttled onto the scene. The occupant living at the location told crews they believe the fire started in the RV, but the cause is yet to be determined. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. In Jackson and Josephine counties, the Oregon Department of Forestry has increased the fire danger level to moderate. Last week, in the first 4 days of fire season, ODF Southwest says it responded to 4 fires. All of them were human-caused. As the temperatures have already hit triple digits this weekend for the Rogue Valley, and with winds and dry vegetation, ODF is urging folks to stay safe. The agency tells NBC5 that factors that contribute to a tough fire season are the conditions we are seeing right now, and says community members need to do their part and be mindful of the risks.
We're all in this together. You know, ODF, all of our partner agencies, we're responding to fires, but we really need our communities to partner with us in this effort, because a lot of the fires we see are human caused, they're accidental, and they can be prevented.
Remember the restrictions and regulations in place. There is no debris burning, no fireworks, and campfires are only allowed in designated campgrounds on public lands. For a full list of the restrictions in Jackson and Josephine counties, visit our website, KOBI5.com. And now let's turn to weather with NBC5's Bobby J for a look at the forecast. How we looking, Bobby?
Well, we had lots of sunshine for a lot of the area for today with dry conditions, but in Northern California, a little bit of some changes. We had some clouds bubbling into the afternoon hours. We had some showers, even a few thunderstorms within parts of Siskiyou County, and even stretching a little bit further south, very active around the Reno area, stretching even that continues at the moment. Look at all the lightning strikes from parts of California into Nevada, and this is a weak low offshore, and this is going to actually be pushing to the northeast as we're getting through the next couple of days. It is going to help our chances for showers and storms kind of developing in the afternoon hours of tomorrow. Now, the chances in the valleys are not all that great, but can't be ruled out. A much better coverage, and it's extending a little bit further north into Klamath and Lake County as we get into Monday afternoon. The main thread of this is going to be any additional lightning, and like today, tomorrow is going to be another hot one. Made it to our first 100-degree temperature for Medford here this afternoon, topping off at 102. 90s out into our eastern counties, and today was one of those days where you just wanted to be on the coastline. 50s and 60s for them, and they're even dealing with some pretty dense fog out there already for the coastline right now in the 50s, whereas the rest of us in the 70s and 80s. Still very mild out there, and yeah, like I mentioned, we have some low visibility along the coastline with some of that patchy fog. Expected lows to start off your Monday morning. We're going to be in the 50s and 60s. This is the best time to get outdoors, go for a walk, especially if you have pets. Don't wait until the heat of the day again for tomorrow. We'll see how long that heat will last in the 7-day just ahead.
Just a reminder, Monday marks the return of Fox 26 First News at 10, 7 days a week. The newscast will be anchored Monday through Friday by NBC5's Andrea Boyd, with weather coverage by NBC5 Chief Meteorologist Matt Jordan. This show right now is our final broadcast of NBC5 News at 10 on COZI. Fox 26 First News at 10 starts tomorrow night. Congressman Cliff Bentz will be delivering the keynote address at Oregon Tech's commencement ceremony in Klamath Falls this week. The 3-term Republican from Eastern Oregon will address the new graduates and their loved ones on June 14th. That's this upcoming Saturday. The following day, Democratic Congresswoman Andrea Salinas, who represents Oregon's 6th district, will deliver the commencement at Tech's Portland Metro campus. Kingsley Field in Klamath Falls will again have jets doing night flying this week, starting tomorrow night. 173rd Fighter Wing pilots are flying night operations again as a part of their training Monday through Wednesday night. It's part of the course curriculum for F-15C student pilots. Training flights will happen each night between 5 and 11 p.m. Residents will most likely hear the sound of jets taking off and then again on approach back to the airfield. Most of the action happens east of Lakeview, where pilots can fly without lights. The final weekend of the Oregon State USBC Women's Championship was held at Lava Lanes here in Medford. The highly competitive and spirited 4-weekend-long tournament had 95 teams participate. Women from all over the state and of all ages took to the lanes to show bowling isn't just a recreational activity, it is a lifestyle. Event director Natalie Clark says these women are pioneers for the younger generation and credits them for bringing attention to the sport.
Well, it's good. It's keeping it alive. These women have been bowling for 50, 60 years together as a team, and they're competitive. They want to come down. They're getting in brackets. They're checking their scores online, new features that we have. But yeah, they're pretty competitive. They like to gamble.
Clark says the women are eager to get what she calls young blood transitioned from high school bowling into league bowling, eventually joining tournaments. But longtime bowler Lois Schlett, who is in her 90s and well respected in the bowling community, hasn't quite hit the brakes just yet.
I'm almost 95, so I'm still going and hope to make a few more tournaments. Every bowler I've been with, we've been more like family in a lot of ways.
Schlett says she takes pride in being an individual that young bowlers can look up to. Coming up on NBC5 News at 10 on COZI, protests against ICE raids continue in Los Angeles today. What the president is saying about his decision to send out National Guard troops. Plus, how an exciting adventure took a disastrous turn when a small skydiving plane full of people crashed in Tennessee when we come back.
Download the NBC5 News and Weather app, sponsored by Rogue Community College. Find your path.
New video from Los Angeles shows demonstrators detained during protests against ICE. Los Angeles police declared one rally near City Hall to be an unlawful assembly, alleging that some protesters threw concrete, bottles, and other objects at police. Police say several vehicles were also spray painted and lit on fire by protesters earlier today. California National Guard troops arrived in Los Angeles today to quell demonstrations over President Donald Trump's immigration enforcement, as the state's Democratic governor called their deployment unlawful. The National Guard began deployment as demonstrations over federal immigration raids continued for a third day in Los Angeles, culminating in confrontations between protesters and police. President Trump says he's not prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act, but he strongly supports law and order in the wake of protests. The president talked about the situation in LA and the deployment of National Guard troops as he was about to depart New Jersey for Camp David this afternoon. The president defending his deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops to the streets of Los Angeles as a third day of protests get underway.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
The president says he's going to send whatever is needed to keep law and order, which could mean sending Marines if the likelihood for danger increases. Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California attempted to visit a prisoner at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles, but was turned away. Waters was trying to see the president of the Service Employees International Union in California, David Huerta. Federal agents arrested him after he allegedly tried to interfere with their access to a work site. After she was denied entry to the detention center, Waters then criticized the presence of National Guard troops at demonstrations protesting the Trump administration's immigration policies. Waters said the protesters are peaceful.
I'm afraid that the guns will end up being used. I don't know why we have guns. What are those guns for? Are they to shoot protesters? I mean, there's no reason to be here with the National Guard.
Waters called the president cruel before calling out to elected officials to help dissuade the Trump administration from taking further action. Several people were injured when a small skydiving plane carrying more than a dozen people crashed in Tennessee this afternoon. According to the FAA, the DHC-6 Twin Otter plane crashed shortly after taking off from the Tullahoma Regional Airport in Coffee County. At least 4 people were admitted to the hospital, 1 in critical condition and 3 in stable condition. The extent of their injuries is unknown. Other minor injuries were treated by first responders at the scene, according to authorities on the ground. Thankfully, there were no fatalities. The FAA is investigating the crash. When we come back, NBC5's Bobby J brings us your pinpoint weather forecast. Stay with us. You're watching NBC5 News at 10 on COZI.
Pinpoint weather on NBC5 News is brought to you by the Cow Creek Umpqua Tribe.
Well, it has been a sunny, hot day here in the Valley. Medford again making it to its first 100-degree day of the year. 84 right now at 10 o'clock, 1 degree warmer than where we were sitting yesterday at this hour. And again, we had some thunderstorm activity a little bit further south into Siskiyou County. This activity has diminished. We had a very few light showers trying to bubble up into our eastern counties. We'll see that kind of becoming a little bit more isolated as we're getting into your Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday, still a little questionable. It does look to be a little bit more active of a day through early Wednesday morning, and then our rain potential is going to be diminishing. Now, again, this is very isolated. We're getting after lunchtime here tomorrow, and you start to see those clouds bubbling up. Chances of showers, even some thunderstorms will be possible tomorrow, and you do see that activity, at least from pinpoint forecasts, getting right around the state line, but as it tries to move a little bit further inland, up into Jackson and Josephine County, really the dry air will win that battle, and we'll see things kind of diminishing. Now, again, better chances further east and further south for the thunderstorm activity. After that sun sets, the kind of active session of that will diminish, and then we'll get back into Tuesday afternoon, and as you're seeing, those storms start to pop back up on the forecast. Now, again, Medford with the 100-degree day looking over the last 10 years, you see we're not too far from where we normally start to see the 100-degree days. Of course, last year and the year before, July 4th, was the day that we saw our first 100-degree day. And whenever we look at the last year to have no 100-degree day, well, that was back in 2011. In fact, since records started for Medford, 1911, it's only happened 5 times where we did not reach 100 degrees. Heat advisory still in place. This goes through 8 p.m. on Monday. The good news with this is that after Monday, temperatures begin to drop. So not as hot as we're getting through the rest of the forecast. So another hot day for tomorrow. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Find ways to stay cool. We will start to return to some seasonal-like averages as we head into the end of the week. Great news for Father's Day weekend coming up. Hint, hint, anyone, if you're watching out there, it's getting close to your Father's Day. We have some 60s for those morning lows. And again, next few days, with the hot afternoons, this is the best time to get outdoors and go for walks, especially if you have pets, because asphalt, concrete can burn their paws with the temperature just at 95 degrees. Looking at asphalt at 140, which can burn their paws under a minute. And of course, we're about 10 degrees even hotter than that scale at 95. Coastline tonight already dealing with some fog out there and expected to continue for the overnight hours. And they will be partly to mostly sunny as we're getting through tomorrow. That fog and clouds will start to clear out and we'll see highs in the 60s. Here in the valleys, we're seeing high temperatures ranging from 98 degrees at Ashland to 103 here in Medford after starting off those morning lows in the 60s. Plenty of sunshine. Again, most of the thunderstorm activity is going to stay south and to the east, and temperatures in our eastern counties starting off in the 50s with highs in the 90s. Again, the good news is that the highs are going to be dropping, but that drop off in highs comes with some breezier winds starting Wednesday and continuing into this weekend. Now, there, with the chance of storms, of course, with the chance of lightning, that does increase the risk of fires. And with some breezy winds as we head into the end of the week, that does mean that we have the potential for these fires maybe to spread. So something to watch out for over the next few days is definitely going to be the lightning with the dry and hot conditions. We look at 70s in our eastern counties as we head into the end of this week. A nice cool off for them, and going from upper 90s to 80s for the end of this week in Northern California. The chance of storms diminishes after Tuesday with more sunshine, excuse me, into the end of the week. The coastline highs will stay into the 50s and 60s. Some fog next couple of mornings, and partly to mostly sunny with some breezy winds heading into this weekend.
Here's a little bit of a fun and mysterious story. Jackson County Fire District 3 rescued a cat named Shaggy from a tree after the owner said the cat had been stuck up there for at least 3 days. When crews responded with a ladder truck, they discovered that Shaggy wasn't just being dramatic. Shaggy was tangled in a bunch of fishing wire. Firefighters have no clue how he got tangled up there, but they were able to bring him back down to solid ground safely. The fire district says they sent out a mutual aid request to the mystery gang to help solve how Shaggy got trapped up there. Sounds like a great mystery for Scooby-Doo and the gang to me. And with that, that's going to be our show tonight. Thanks so much for watching. NBC5 News will be back tonight at 11 p.m. on NBC5. Have an excellent night, everyone.